Good day, I'm Mark Brian Taliting. The article Cleaning Up Duterte's Chinese Mess by Bo Champo, published in the Philippine Star, examines the rise of illegal Philippine offshore gaming operation or POGOs during the administration of Rodrigo Duterte and the problems now confronting the current government. It argues that Duterte's policy allowed the influx of Chinese nationals linked to criminal POGOs activities, turning an economic initiative into the law and order and national security concern. The article cites recent raids by the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commissioner and the Philippine National Police, the arrest of the allied kingpin, and the drop in licensed cooperation from 298 to 41. Despite this reduction, the author contends the corruption and subleasing make regulation ineffective and proposes total closure and deportation of those involved. Overall, the piece combines factual reporting with strong criticism and the previous administration and calls for decisive reform.
Statement of facts. When BBM appointed Altenco as chairman of PAGCOR, there were 298 POGO licensees and service providers, but now there are only 41 licensees. Why is this a statement of facts? These statements present verifiable numerical data. It refers to Bongbong Marcos, or BBM, Alejandro Tenco, and Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation, or PAGCOR. These numbers, 298 versus 41 licensees, can be checked through official records. There are no emotional language in these sentences, only data. You could see that this is a statement of facts because it has a comparison between administration and evidence that the number of operators significantly decreased, and a foundation for the author's later argument that regulation failed. This is a statement of opinion because it is so sad that the Duterte era turned our country into a criminal hub like those found in the Golden Triangle. This is a statement of opinion because it has an emotional language, or so sad, a valuable judgment or criminal hub, and a comparison to the Golden Triangle. The reference is the Golden Triangle adds dramatic imagery rather than measurable proof. And this appeals to readers' emotion and strengthens the author's criticism of Rodrigo Duterte.
Statement of Convention. By January 1, implementing the shutdown becomes the heading of the National Police. This refers to what is expected to happen once a policy is implemented. It describes an anticipated administrative consequence, procedural or government issues. It implies that the burden of enforcement will shift to the Philippines National Police. Its purpose is it signals implementation challenges, bureaucratic consequences, practical difficulty of enforcing closure. Statement of preference. It says that let's start deporting them, especially the kingpins. Let China deal with its own criminal. We have enough of our own. These expresses our recommended course of action. The author's preferred solution, a call for deportation. It reflects what the writer wants to happen rather than what is objectively required. Its purpose of this moves the article from analysis to advocacy. The author is no longer describing; he is urging an action.
Now let's talk about evaluative statement. The author uses strong emotionally charged language to frame the issue. Words like mess, laxity, and mountain of dirt clearly signal the author's critical stance and aim to provoke a sense of urgency or indignation in the reader. So, these terms are not neutral. They signal frustration and urgency. The tone suggests blame and moral outrage. The effects are influences reader's perception, frames Duterte's era negatively, creates urgency for reform.
So for the second evaluative statement, the argument relies heavily on the contrast between the current and the previous administration. The author attributes the proliferation of POGOs specifically to the Duterte era, while bringing the current squabble between the families as a providential opportunity for cleanup. So, in this evaluative statement, it highlights Duterte's alleged laxity and the Marcos administration's crackdown. This contrast is strengthen the narratives that the current administration is correcting past mistakes. The effect of this is it may result in political framing and positions reforms as necessary cleanup, and it aligns the issue with broader political rivalry. This issue addresses the administration of Duterte and Marcos, but it may go on with the squabble between the two families, maybe aligning it to the issue with a broader political rivalry. So for the third evaluative statement, the claim that total closure is our only option is a policy evaluation based on past failures. The author justifies this drastic measure by explaining that subleasing and corruption make these entities impossible to regulate effectively under the current system. So the author argues that subleasing, corruption, and regulation makes impossible to have a reform. This is not just reporting, it is a policy judgment. It evaluates the alternatives and concludes that closure is the best option. The effects of this is that it narrows the debate and it justifies the drastic action. It also presents a closure as a logical and inevitable. So it influences the reader on their perspective. They want to make the reader realize that this is our only way, which is that narrows the debate and whether what actions to take. So that's all. Overall, the article is not neutral reporting. It is a persuasive commentary that attributes the rise of illegal POGOs to the Duterte's administration, praises empowerment's efforts under the current government, and argues that total closure and deportation are necessary. It also uses emotionally charged language to create urgency. And that's the presentation of Group 3. Thank you for watching and listening.